welcome to Gear of the Year 2019. Not a lot of people watch my YouTube channel, unless that is if I put Patagonia in the title of the video, then like 1,000 people will watch my YouTube video. But one like this, Gear of the Year 2019, maybe 50, 100 people will watch it, and I want to thank you in advance. Today I'm going to talk about the Hoka Kona Clayton, which is right here. This is my choice for Gear of the Year 2019. I'm totally in love with it. I love it, and I hope that I can spread the good news to the world with my YouTube channel. I love the Hoka Kona Clayton. But I'm also going to talk about Mountain Hardwear and Patagonia, since that's mostly what I use, the pros and cons of both. I'm going to talk about the Big Agnes Axle Air Pad, using it with Tyvek, and the differences between the Axle and the Uber Light from Thermarest. I'm also going to talk about the 3 ounce per square yard Dyneema that's used on all of the Z-Packs packs and the Mountain Laurel Designs waterproof packs. Okay, so the Hoka Kona Clayton has got, first of all, it's got this Magnum PI Hawaiian shirt on the top, and that's to celebrate the Ironman race on the island of Kona in Hawaii. It's also got this kind of neon orange Bermuda short color on the bottom, and it's pretty fun to wear. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of fun factor here. It's fun. All right, the other thing you should know about the Kona Clayton is that it's like half the weight of the Lone Peak 4.0. So if you imagine that the Lone Peak 4.0 is half the weight of the Salomon XA Pro 3D, the Kona Clayton is actually half the weight of the Lone Peak. So the Kona Clayton is like a fraction of the weight of a Salomon. And Salomon makes some lightweight shoes like the Sense and the Predict, but what you mostly get with Salomon is you get a protective midsole. This EVA foam isn't too soft and squishy. It's nice and protective, and it protects you from the trail, from the roots and the rocks on the trail. And the Kona Clayton has that also, but this shoe is lighter. It's also softer. It's a little bit squishier and softer, but it still is firm and protective. And the way that they do that is by combining the soft midsole and the tough rubber outsole are combined together. They're like whipped together in a blender. So this whole entire piece right here is one piece of kit. So the shoe is actually only in 2 parts. It's got the hydrophobic water resistant upper up here, and then it's got one piece of foam on the bottom. The very, very bottom of the shoe and the sides of the shoe are all one piece. There is no like tough rubber outsole and soft midsole like glued together. It's all just one piece of foam. So it's pretty awesome. You know, I really recommend the Kona Clayton. They are selling it on their website in this style. I could tell you for sure it's awesome. I love it. I went on a long hike yesterday, and at the end of the hike I really started to notice the performance of the shoe. I wasn't distracted by my feet at all. My feet really didn't hurt too much at all. This morning I'm really feeling it. My Achilles are burning up. You know, it was a big hike. All right, so moving on to Patagonia and Mountain Hardwear. So Patagonia and Mountain Hardwear, they're both kind of pricey, and basically Patagonia is kind of getting to the point where there's no way I could afford to buy it if I had to buy it from the store. I usually get it like through a warranty by trading in gear that I already have for something new. And I would say that, you know, the number one piece of kit that they're selling right now is this one, the Micro Puff. And, you know, the reason I like this jacket so much is because it's so cold. You don't sweat very much when you wear the Micro Puff because it just really doesn't provide any warmth at all. It cuts the chill, it blocks out the cold, but it doesn't really get warm. And that's really its strong point. But it could easily be replaced by a long sleeve hiking shirt or like a t-shirt with a hoodie. You know, I mean, it really doesn't provide any warmth at all. It just locks out the cold and locks out the wind. And it's also kind of bulky. It doesn't really pack down that small. It is kind of a fail. Price-wise, also $300. You know, I mean, I love it because I have it, but I couldn't possibly recommend this to anybody. This is what I use to block out the chill here where I live in San Francisco. And the difference between Mountain Hardwear and Patagonia is that Mountain Hardwear is a little bit too warm, where Patagonia is a little bit too cold. So, you know, I would say colder is better. I really don't sweat at all when I wear the Micro Puff, and that's why I wear it so much of the time. I find myself never really reaching for the Ghost Whisperer for Mountain Hardwear because it's a little bit too warm. I more or less always perspire a little, at least in the arms, whenever I wear this jacket. Anytime I'm walking home up this mountain from work, I find myself sweating before I get to the house. I sweat in it like every single time I wear it, and I don't really want to wash this jacket because it's kind of a difficult jacket to maintenance. And so since I don't really want to wash it, I don't really want to wear it because I know I'm gonna sweat if I wear it, and so I usually just don't wear it. If I have a Micro Puff, I'll wear this instead. Moving on to the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer sleeping bags, which I have over here. I've got the 40 bag there off to the side, and then the 20 bag here. The big issues with these two bags is that the 20 bag is a little bit too hot when it's hot out. It's a little bit too hot, and the 40 bag is a little bit too cold when it's cold out. So the 40 bag is really like the minimum amount of insulation that you could possibly want, kind of like the jacket. And you really need to fluff up that down before you take it out. If you don't throw some tennis balls or some tennis shoes into the dryer with the bag and fluff up the baffles with down before you go, when you pull out the bag to go to sleep, it'll be too cold, and at like 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll realize that you're like freezing cold. Similar to that with the 20 bag, if there's a heat wave, if it's kind of hot, you're never gonna be able to sleep in this 20 bag when it's hot out. It's way too hot. And so if it's mosquito-y, if there's a lot of bugs, you're not gonna be able to zip it shut and get inside of there, and you're gonna start getting bitten by mosquitoes. At least that's what happens to me, because I don't really use a shelter or anything. I'd say that the dry down that's inside of the Ghost Whisperer bags, it does a really ample job of covering the down. So down has a really powerful antimicrobial property to it where it can kind of like kill a lot of, you know, body odor and stuff like that. But because that down is covered with plastic, it doesn't have that property. So smells get trapped in the down pretty easily and for a long time. So if you drink like Magna Gallia de Oro instant espresso, you can smell the instant coffee in the down for like weeks. Also the powdered dehydrated cheese powder that's in a lot of camping food, like in Mountain House meals, you can smell that like dairy, like powdered cheese smell like in the down for like a long time. Even if I like air it out, even if I leave it out just to dry and like to air out, to ventilate, it holds on to the smell for a long time. It also can kind of smell mildewy for like a long time. So that dry down is kind of difficult to take care of. It's kind of difficult to maintenance. Also, I found that it was like covered with mosquitoes the other night. It has a tendency to kind of like hang on to carbon dioxide. When you breathe out carbon dioxide, and mosquitoes are totally attracted to it. The plastic that's on that dry down, it captures carbon dioxide in the plumes of the down. And I personally, what I think is that it attracts mosquitoes. So like when you cinch yourself up inside of this down bag, it's kind of getting saturated with carbon dioxide, and it's just attracting mosquitoes like crazy. So, you know, the other night when it was really buggy, the sleeping bag was literally just covered with mosquitoes. There were just mosquitoes sitting on it from like the toe all the way to the head. It was just like like a zoo exhibit of mosquitoes. It was covered. So that's kind of like a funny thing about that. Basically, the reason I use dry down is because I don't need to set up a tarp. The dry down itself manages condensation, so you don't need a shelter to manage your condensation. Got the Axle air pad here. It's pretty small, and it basically is in direct competition with the Thermarest Uber Light. Both of them will work during the summer. You don't really need a lot of padding underneath you to go to sleep during the summertime. I'll blow this up and show you what it looks like. Alright, so here's the Axle air pad, and as you can tell, it's huge. And that's really the sweet spot on this thing. It also comes in an insulated version in red, and it's just a really big mattress to sleep on. The Uber Light is the opposite. It's really small. The smallest one is probably only this long from here to the top, and it's a lot more narrow. So that's basically the difference between the Axle and the Uber Light, is one is big and one is small. They're both kind of expensive. This one is about $200. Whether you use the Uber Light or the Axle, they're both gonna pop. If you lay them directly on the rocks or directly on the mud, they will pop. And the air pads overall, they work a lot better before they get any holes in them at all. So you don't want the thing to pop, not even once. And the way that you prevent the air pads from popping is by putting Tyvek underneath the air pads. So the way you buy this Tyvek is on eBay. This is the minimum amount you can purchase, which is like 3 feet wide. It's $10. And it's pretty awesome. It totally prevents your air pad from popping. I would say like 95% of the time, it's gonna protect the air pad and prevent the air pad from popping. All right, so say I'm in the woods and I'm really tired from hiking and I wanna sit down on the ground. But as you can see, the ground is super, super, super dirty. And I've got my everything bag here, and I would love to just lay down on the dirt and bust out my everything bag and just go through my stuff and just check it out. Obviously, the way that you do that is with some Tyvek. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, you can see that now. Is that? All right. So now I've got some Tyvek on the ground, and basically this is just like a beach blanket. Now I can just get on here. Oh, I can literally just lay on the dirt. I'm not. And now I'm on a piece of Tyvek, so the Tyvek is protecting me from the dirt. It's not nasty. I'm not getting totally messed up. And I can just unzip my everything bag. And so here's my everything bag, and I can just dump it out like that. All right, I've got the this is the graphene fast charger. Okay, it charges in 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes it has enough electricity in it to charge your iPhone 2 times. This is what I use. I don't think this would be enough electricity for a major through hike, but this is what I use for my weekends. I've got some valerian here. I've got the Z-Packs toothbrush. I got a vape. Okay. So this way I can just, I'm tired. I want to lay down. I don't want to get dirty. I want to dump my stuff out. I don't want my stuff to get wrecked. Just put my Tyvek down and I can. I want to talk about for a second is this material. The Nero from Z-Packs, the Arcall from Z-Packs, the Burn from Mountain Laurel Designs. They all use this same material. This is more or less 3 ounce per square yard Dyneema, or DCF. And so when you put tent stakes and tent poles and hard plastic objects, like say if you put a Diet Coke into Dyneema, the bottle cap from the Diet Coke could put a hole in your Dyneema. So when you get up into like 3 ounce per square yard Dyneema, you're no longer just working with Dyneema, you're also working with polyester. So there's another company called Granite Gear that mostly use Cordura, and that's kind of what this is. This has got a polyester that's similar to Cordura glued to the Dyneema. So the Dyneema itself is waterproof and it won't pull apart. And then the Cordura is a tough pack material that's just glued to the Dyneema, so you get both. And because the Dyneema is so strong, you can use a really, really thin layer of Cordura. So say at Granite Gear, they probably use 200 denier Cordura. This is 50 denier Cordura, so it's like less than half. It's like only a fourth of the thickness of the Cordura from Granite Gear, so it's much, much lighter. And the way that they get away with doing that is by gluing it to the Dyneema that's on the inside. So it's like totally waterproof, and it won't pull apart. It's like really durable. The Cordura does show some wear and tear, especially on the bottom of the pack, but overall the pack holds together pretty well. Now the interesting thing about this material is that it actually comes in half the weight. So this is like 2.8 or 2.9 ounce per square yard Dyneema, and this exact same thing comes in 1.2 ounce. So half of that weight, 1.2 ounce, and basically they just use less Cordura. So they hold, basically what the Cordura is it's like a patch. So imagine if you had a Dyneema pack and it got a hole in it from your tent stake, and you took a polyester patch and you glued it to the pack and patched it. That's what this is. This is a Dyneema pack, and the patch is already glued to the whole thing. So the whole entire pack has a layer of patch on it, you know, and the 1.2 ounce Dyneema is the same thing. So there actually is a 1 ounce per square yard material that's a fraction of this weight. Now, what does that mean? Well, you're looking at about 1 square yard of material. And this is 3 ounces per square yard, which means that this pocket equals 3 ounces. If it was made out of 1 ounce per square yard Dyneema, it would only be 1 ounce. Now, this particular pack from Mountain Laurel Designs, the core, it does come in a wasabi green grid stop Dyneema that is only 1 ounce per square yard. So that pack weight is 1 ounce. That's not including this. That's not including all the bells and whistles, the backpack straps, the shoulder straps, etc. Okay, but the pocket itself on that wasabi green is only 1 ounce. The waterproof version is 3 ounces. But it is possible to make a waterproof version in 1 ounce because this waterproof Cordura laminated Dyneema comes in 1.2 ounces. Now the wasabi green version of this pack from Mountain Laurel Designs, it is also really good. It just isn't waterproof. Some people say you really just don't need it. It doesn't matter if it's waterproof. And so yeah, that other version of the pack, the wasabi green, is 1 ounce. This one's 3.